So here we have the Dave Smith Instruments OB-6 module, and then we have a few keyboards here that are both connected to it with a regular MIDI cable. To show you an easy example, because this is concerning Aftertouch, I've got it routed to the VCO 1 and 2 to demonstrate channel Aftertouch, which is monophonic Aftertouch. Pressing harder on... Oh. Now you're in it.
No.
Now I'm keeping it. No matter which key I press, activates the Aftertouch for any key that's held down. With Polyphonic Aftertouch, which can be provided by the Mellotron M4000D, each note can have its own pitch bend. See how each key has its own response with the Polyphonic Aftertouch. Whereas if I tried the same thing, they all bend in unison. So this is pretty cool with this key bed here, because you can play kind of a melody over chords that don't change, because only the note you want to responds to the pitch bend. And if you don't press as hard as on the lower keys or the higher keys, doesn't matter, but the response is note by note. And in order to do this, you've got to get into the menu, as it were. So these buttons here are rotate, so that they change the Mellotron sounds and the Chamberlin sounds, but they're also buttons, and if you press them both together you get into the menu. And if you're having trouble pressing them together, you select A slightly before select B, and you access that in the MIDI settings. You can put the sensitivity to the highest, because it has a high, medium, or low, but it has this Aftertouch, which is the last selection in the menu, and then you press select B on that, and then you can choose if you have monophonic, polyphonic, or turn off the Aftertouch. So if I put it to monophonic, both notes have to react to that, even though one note gets the pressure. And then polyphonic, See how that one note stays the same and the other one is bending. I should also note that this may not be true for all of the M4000Ds, but this one in particular, its response to the aftertouch is uneven across the keys. So normally the way aftertouch works, if you press a note, it goes all the way down, and then applying extra pressure to it makes the synthesizer react to whatever the modulation is routed to. But with the M4000D, if you press, because it has depth sensitivity for the keys, so if you press down the keys down halfway and following it all the way just down to its normal without any added pressure, it's already triggering the aftertouch. So that's a little bit difficult because it's difficult to hold your hand above the keys and press only halfway. If you press down harder, just naturally, you could accidentally trigger the aftertouch when you don't want it to. This is different, however, with the very top keys and the very bottom keys. I imagine that's because there's an aftertouch ribbon underneath, and that if the ribbon starts here and ends here, it's somehow more sensitive in the middle of it. So this key, you can press all the way down. That responds more like the aftertouch that I'm used to. Yeah, when we get to this key here, the sixth key, I guess it would be the seventh key, and it gets progressively I'm not even, it's just straight down. It already triggers it. Up here finally, some of these keys required significantly more force in order to trigger the aftertouch effect. So it has its quirks, but it's got polyphonic aftertouch, and it works. It's not perfect, but glad to have it, because usually keyboards like the Korg Kronos or the Vermona 14 or even the OB-6, the keyboard version, not the module version, it has aftertouch but doesn't transmit aftertouch. It receives the polyphonic aftertouch. I should be careful now. The OB-6 transmits and receives monophonic aftertouch. It also receives polyphonic aftertouch, as I've demonstrated here, but in the keyboard version it only has monophonic aftertouch. So this way, if you use a controller with the OB-6 that has polyphonic aftertouch, you can get more of those Yamaha CS80 vibes. And like the CS80, the M4000D here has those really long wooden keys that can be seen if we open up the lid here. I'm sure there's other videos that you can see inside. Yeah. The M4000D Mini doesn't have polyphonic aftertouch, I don't think. The full-size expensive version is the only one that can transmit polyphonic aftertouch, which makes it a great controller for so many things like the Korg Kronos and the OB-6, which receive polyphonic aftertouch, but there's such a limited amount of keys. You only get 3 octaves starting on F. That you kind of need 2 of them, 2 of these things to make it worth it. And then once you get 2, it's definitely not worth it. So I hope you found this helpful. Like this video and bang the bell button so that you can get notifications on the next upload. Just kidding, I'm uploading this only to Daily Motion. I'm not even gonna upload it to YouTube.
For British people?
Alright, BitChute.